Oh, sure.
I'm
No, I'm
here.
happy to do
Great
that
country
too.
now.
Yeah.
Are you really in front? No.
I really am.
The earring that I
You're in
can't
front of the
have
camera?
because
Yeah.
I didn't want to get it late.
D'Arcy Reynolds, and I'd like to welcome you today. This is a group of 4 women composers presenting our original music, and we are presenting piano trios plus one piece that has percussion. And this first piece, Tangria, was something that I wrote being influenced by the Argentinian tango, so it has 4 different movements. And it would be great if you would hold your applause until the end of the piece. So what I'd like to do is just to talk to you a little bit about tango and the quality. So as you're listening to the piece, you'll have some things to listen for. And I seem to have lost my piece of paper that had all my notes on it. So I'm going to get that and be right back with you.
You got yourself.
They're also a comedy troupe, unless you want to
Well, that's
I don't
perfectly
wanna
fine.
keep going.
Okay, so we're going to start with, so Jess, I'd like to start with, first of all, talking about how tango very often alternates between very lyrical and then very percussive. So we're going to start with Jess playing bars 1 through 4 of Tangria. So then, you can see that's a very lyrical opening, but then what we're going to have is a very percussive marking that occurs in the piano, and it defines the harmony, and it really creates the driver. And there are things called marking models, and these are 4 bars long for the most part. So I'm going to play starting in letter A, just so the audience can hear the piano part, the first few marking models. Straightforward rhythmic background, but it's constantly varying. So what I'd like to do is to now have the violin and cello play at letter A so they can hear it in the context. 1, 2. Also, I wanted to show you this. Tango doesn't have percussion instruments, but it uses instruments as percussion. So we have something called the yumba, which is this. So it's basically, it's non-pitched, so it's like. So you can listen for that as well. And then we also have the whip. So could the violin play the whip in bar 69? So super. And then also, could you, Irene, could you play a chichara? Yeah, so it sounds like, a little cricket-like sound. And then in terms of rhythm, we very often have, we're going to look at Do La Recita next. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And that can either be slow, as in Do La Recita, or it can be used more as a rhythmic driver. So I'll play just the first part of Do La Recita so you can hear that pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And very often, for example, in the violin part, rather than just having a single grace note, there's groups of playing those special kinds of tango bracelets. So I think a lot of people, when you think about tango, you just think of this bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, and it's a very, it's a very limited kind of exposure, I guess, to tango because that's a lot of what you hear. But waltz was really important in Mexico, Central America, South America, because all of this music came over from Spain and from Europe. So when you listen to their music, you hear a lot of waltz and also in the tango. So we're going to just take a look at the first 4 bars of tango, just be violin and piano.
The valse?
Yeah.
The valse. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
So you can see, anyways, you're going to be listening for the 1, 2, 3. And then the other thing about tango is it tends to be really orchestral for the piano. So we're all over the entire keyboard. So I'm just going to play an example of this registral, huge compass. Sorry, I didn't get that quite right. So you can see we're all the way down here at the top of the instrument. And then just in terms of, we're going to take a look at Manga Malanga, just the first 8 bars. You're going to see the cello is going to be used doing percussion on, could you show them how you're going to use the, and then Irene's going to be doing the chichara as well as the whip. So you can just see all the special percussion that's generated by the instruments. Okay, so here we go, and.
Oh, from the top?
Anyway, so we have never played together before, so how about 1, 2. So, and then there's, again, 3 + 3 + 2 in the Bordeneo. So this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So if we look at bar 47, I can just play this so that people can hear this. So you can hear that left hand 1, 2, 3. So just to be listening for that, I think that it's just like a little introduction for things to listen for in tango, and I hope you enjoy this. Here.
Thank you.
Thanks, D'Arcy. I want to suggest the first row can come forward. I think we had pushed it off back to do setup, but now everyone looks cramped, so you can all come a little more. You can definitely come to like.
I'm just gonna do one thing before you do that.
It looks really tight.
Yeah, we're trying to work around this.
But like this space now is open, so you can come.
I can't.
Now get close and enjoy.
Because
How kind of you.
Well, it just looked really close to this group, and I don't want you to be uncomfortable.
I want to just say hello to everybody on the live stream, and we had a little snafu, and it's okay. Hopefully you made it here to this link, and just welcome you all. I suppose you could put comments that we can see later. If you put big thumbs up, we might be able to see them on the screen.
No, we're not. We're not looking at the screen. We're looking at this screen.
But we're very happy that you're joining us, for everybody who's here. Thank you.
Low C.
Yeah. And I want to check. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 1 Sazer. This is Rebecca Haas at the piano, and this is Jessica Ivry on the cello. the timing worked out that I wrote this piece for this group and this concert at an interesting time. So I started the piece the day after our November election. I finished it the day after the inauguration. So we're gonna change the mood. And I'm calling it Democracy.
This next piece is written by me. My name's Lillian Yee. Nice to meet you. Hey, Joyce. Yeah, great. So yeah, I'll be playing percussion and conducting as well. Can you guys see me?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right.
It's another light one on the program, right?
Sorry?
It's another light piece on our program called The
yeah.
Fragmentation of Man.
Yes. You could read more about how happy it is in the program notes. Oh, that's loud.
It's the double sweater treatment.
All right. You guys ready?
Wait.
next up we have my piece. We're gonna bring the mood up for you again after some heavy and reflective stuff. This is 3 movements in 3 different Brazilian styles. There's a little more info in your program notes, and anyone watching online, if you haven't found in the YouTube description, the link to the notes is there for you too. Yeah, we get to play these 3 different styles. We're gonna do a little percussion on our instruments, and we hope that you leave with a smile.
Lillian did mention we are also a comedy troupe.
Yes, we are.
Sorry about that. Okay.
One, two, one, two.
Thank
And then after that, we can have a Q&A if you've got any questions about how the heck do we write music or whatever.
Right. Rebecca, would you like to come up and talk with me over here?
I'm gonna put
Or
stuff
put
away.
it in front, maybe.
I don't know.
Wherever. You guys be in
Yeah, I'm gonna
This
move
is
my
front-ish.
I'm gonna put it
Hi. Turn my back.
Sure. Something like this.
Something like this?
Yes. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. My name's Lillian Yee, and I was one of the composers. This is Rebecca.
Yep.
And we have co-founded alongside with D'Arcy Women Composers Collective, officially called International Women Composers Collective, and we're a two-person board. And we just started this year, and so we're a very fresh group.
These are our first events.
Yes.
Thank you for being a part of it.
Yeah. So we're very, very happy to be here, and thank you to D'Arcy for having this venue for us as well. And so, yeah, if you're interested in what we do, we would love to welcome more women to write with us and to play with us. I know Joyce is a composer as well, and she's having a album release actually coming up very soon. Yeah, that's exciting. So there's a lot of us, and we don't get represented fully in ways that we feel satisfied with. So we decided to just do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Anything you wanna add?
Echoing everything Lillian said, there's lots of great composers out there that are all the guys that you would expect, and like we've heard them and we love them too, but like it's so special to have composers in the room with you and be able to share music, as a composer, as a player, and just to like actually be in the room with you and share this. So this is very special. Thank you all.
And we're alive, we're not dead.
We're alive! We're happy to be alive and composing. Yes.
Do you have anything that you'd like to add about our website or social media?
That we have it. WomenComposersCollective.com is .org, is our website. It's in the programs, it's on the YouTube comments, and then we're on Instagram and Facebook as well. So you can find us, and we hope you do.
Yeah. If you guys are interested, come up and talk to us. So we'll be loading up and stuff. So
Yeah. And if there are any Q&A things, we can
Open
answer
up the
these
floor for
things.
that,
yeah.
We can get Irene back too.
We can have a Q&A, and then there's also a reception to follow. So there'll be a little reshuffling of the chairs then.
In a minute, yeah.
Join us, and
If there's any questions.
yeah.
Absolutely.
maybe
I have a question for D'Arcy. And this may just be too naive, but the influence of Astor Piazzolla in the writing of your tango.
Well, he's an influence on so much of tango, the idiom and the inclusion of jazz harmonies and that kind of thing. So he really made a shift in terms of, I don't want to call it advancing the tango harmonically and everything. So it's much more inclusive than much more conservative earlier tango before he came. But I studied tango at Reed College with Argentinian composers and performers. Went up there a couple of summers in a row, and then I studied with several Argentinian tango masters. So all that comes from a lot of study and wonderful books that are produced by Tango San Fen. So we can talk further about that, all the resources that are out there. Yeah.
How did you all find each other?
Oh boy. Okay, so I went to a workshop. It's like a Brazilian music workshop at the California Jazz School, and I met D'Arcy there, and that's how it all started. And then I invited Rebecca.
And Lillian and I knew each other from California Brazil Camp, which is like 2 hours north of here, and just kind of the Brazilian music community in the East Bay. And I knew Irene kind of through that too. And Irene and Jess had played together for years in the Real Vocal String Quartet. So we're all kind of weaving a web of being connected here.
Well, cool.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for
I
coming.
think we have refreshments too.
I wonder if
Well,
I can
this-
make a comment.
Yeah.
So from a non-player's perspective, my father was a musician, and I
grew up in England, in London, and in the 60s there was a lot of continental influence, a lot of jazz, and a lot of Rio de Janeiro jazz, Ipanema, man from Ipanema and so forth. And I was just taken back with your beautiful violin and cello, and I was taken back to sort of the 30s and these sort of smoky places, dance halls, where the two continents came together, jazz and classical and waltz, and just was so evocative.
I think it's a really interesting thing because, history affects music and music that's creative. And so one of the things that's true about at least some of these styles of music that have now come even closer with classical music come from people of color, come from people who started out in Africa. There have always been some influences on European music, but that's very interesting to me. And a lot of what we play today has connections with dance too. So.
Yeah, I was curious, kind of more the process or mechanics of how you're composing. Like, are you composing starting on violin or on piano and then kind of translating it into other instruments, or do you have another musician in the room with you on another instrument, or are you in like a DAW environment?
Wait, what is
using
that?
virtual
What is
stuff?
DAW?
Like Logic or GarageBand.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
Digital
Yeah, I started this piece on GarageBand because I generally start improvising no matter what. But I think we talked about this the other night too. Like for me, I can start a piece from almost anything musical. It can be from a rhythmic idea or a lyrical idea, and I play a little bit of piano. This was the first piece I wrote ever for piano. And I did this, the beginning of the piece was, it really came right from an improvisation that was directly related to feelings. Very, very emotional. My piece, I would say there was a big emotional process that I was going through at that time that's very much represented in the music. I don't know if in my piece, if you could catch that there were like these chaotic places or really intense places, but then there was always this rest place coming back, and I was really emotionally feeling that, and it kind of showed up. I mean, there's something magical about any art where writers say that, they listen to the characters, and so that's my story. What about you guys?
I tend to compose a lot at the piano, being a pianist, and I've written a lot for piano over the years because it's convenient to write for yourself, and I like my own instrument, but I also like writing for other instruments. I don't usually write with someone else in the room or anything like that. I'm just kind of thinking about what different instruments sound like and maybe just what a piece needs, because I've written things for piano and then later the pieces sort of told me this isn't a piano piece, this is something else, this is saxophone, this is flute, whatever. And I've definitely taken piano pieces and arranged them for trio or arranged them for larger ensembles, and I like a lot of it. Yeah. Want to speak to that?
Every piece is different in terms of the inspiration for it. Sometimes I'll start with a rhythmic idea, sometimes there'll be a melody in my head, sometimes it's harmony, and that can inform, like I can take like a 2 to 4 bar montuno and then just extrapolate that out to create a piece. But I do always hear the instruments in my head, that I'm writing for. It's just something, all of that comes at the same time. And as I was saying the other day, it's like Ravel always wrote for the piano, and then he would orchestrate, and that's not how I work. I'm just always hearing the other instruments. So, so that's my process.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, my process. So I'm also a singer-songwriter, and so it really depends on what I'm hearing at the time. So like, I could just be walking through a grocery store and I have this melody in my head, and it might have words, or I might think it's for some, like a violin, but actually maybe later on it'll be good for a sax or something, you know. And so I'll record it into my voice memos, and then I'll transcribe it onto paper, or to a notation software, or to GarageBand. So it really depends on what comes first. Yeah.
I have one more thing that I've always wondered, like, we have all these technological helpers now, and how did Mozart do it? And how did Bach do it? I want to interview them.
They scribbled a lot, I think. They scribbled really fast to get down the ideas.
But
or they
maybe
just
some of
memorized them
them-
well, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe some of them heard all the things in their
At the
head
same time.
already.
Yeah. That happens to me too.
In
Yeah.
my early training, I don't know if this was the true for all of you, but my teacher had me copying scores out because that's how the great masters learned.
Oh,
They would
yeah,
copy
yeah.
out the scores, so I spent a lot of time doing that, and I have my students copy out the scores just to learn the skill of doing that. And then you're able to start hearing more and more instruments in your head.
And I've had experiences. I was at a music residency once, and I was on this walk, and I was thinking, am I cheating because of this technology? And then I rationalized that if Bach were alive today, he would be using all the tools.
For sure.
Better.
I agree.
Yeah, and for me too, like I have a lot of used up napkins that have my scribbles on them too, and then I'll put them into my computer. So
You've got to save
Anyway.
that for your museum someday.
frame them. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then how often do you play together?
Oh, two more questions.
Oh, how
well,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Michael?
Yeah, well, so you both mentioned using GarageBand. I thought GarageBand was kind of like a spatial plug and play. Does it notate now? They got it notating?
It's just recording.
No, it's just for recording, but you can record different
Live
tracks.
stuff and okay, I just
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can also take GarageBand into Logic, which does have notation.
Right.
It's
I've
not the
never done
greatest,
that.
but it does if you want to.
I've been using StaffPad, which works really well.
What is that?
StaffPad,
Oh.
and it has live orchestral samples and things like that, so you can actually listen to what it. And it's pretty vast right now. It's also pretty simple. They guys came out of another notation software that got too thick,
Mm-hmm.
so but it works really well.
Oh, it's interesting.
Thank you.
So how often do you guys play together, and does that influence the composing?
This is our first round of working together. So
So we just had rehearsals in advance of the concert.
yeah.
Like maybe
We also did a show at
Throckmorton.
Theater in Mill Valley on Wednesday. So we got to kind of too close to each other, which is nice. But yeah, we want there to be more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can totally have like 3-4 rehearsals. Is that right?
We did not have enough.
I think
Yeah.
we were looking.
We did
I
not.
mean,
Never
we
enough
did, but we
rehearsals.
didn't.
I think we had
Scheduling is
4 or
hard.
5.
Yeah, we had to work very efficiently, and we had to do a lot of our own practice. But I think it does help. Like Jess and I played for a decade together in a quartet, real vocal string quartet, and Rebecca and I are playing together in a Brazilian quartet. So that helps.
Yeah.
And Rebecca and I also gig together too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
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 Thanks so
Well,
much. Yeah, thank you.
We're going to have the dessert table over here and so on. But I really appreciate your coming today, and we look forward to having more concerts like this. So I think we can end the live stream.
Yeah.
It's up to you in your live stream. And then we're going to clear everything out so there's room for food.